Purpose in the Youth podcast. Welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast.
Don't give up until you find your thing.
Don't be afraid that you don't know what you want to do yet, because I didn't know what I wanted to do yet. I still don't know what I want to do yet.
I'm still trying to figure that out. If you don't have it figured out early, don't think you're never going to find it.
You really make your own opportunity.
What do you genuinely enjoy?
Everything is strategic.
I mean, nothing ends up how you want it to end up.
You go around once, there's no dress rehearsal.
But you have to understand yourself to know what your passions are, and then it just comes really easily.
Keep looking for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast with your favorite bearded man, the one, the only, Bobbbaaaay. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but today on the podcast, drama.
Bobbbaaaay!
Bobbbaaaay!
We're here, man.
Drama, what's going on, man?
I am excited. I'm inspired.
You're inspired.
I'm inspired by your house.
Huh.
I'm going to be honest, and this is not a diss on your house, because
Yeah.
this is just a stepping stone
Yeah.
for when you live in a mansion.
Yeah.
When I pulled up and I saw Tyler out front, I was like, damn, I feel like we might be getting set up and we might be getting robbed right now. You know, and then sure enough, the moment you opened that door and came out, when
Yeah.
you're just like hustler spirit,
Yeah.
and then took me in and showed me like this thing is literally like a movie studio. I was like, shit, we are right at home, right? Like this is right where I came from. I speak this language. But when you're walking down the street outside, you're like, shit.
I know it is.
I've never been to this part.
I
of town
get so
before.
nervous when I'm telling people that, you know, I'm out in Sun Valley and they're not really familiar with it, and then they're pulling up, and I literally was standing at my window for like 20 minutes just waiting, because I don't want people to be nervous about knocking on a door and not know. But it is definitely a neighborhood. You're like, okay, maybe this is it. But I mean, you got to start somewhere, right?
Yep.
I mean, you want to, like I told you before, we wanted a house. We needed a house for space, and with West LA being so expensive, there was no chance we were gonna be able to afford that.
Yep.
And that's how we ended up out here.
And I can't tell you enough, man. This is the fun part. Like this is even me. Like when I've been out here for like 12 years now, and like I said, I started in a house very similar to this actually. But when I'm around this environment, this is when I feel the most inspired, right? Like I've been to a lot of fancy schmancy things and whatever, and like you just don't feel the same energy that you feel in a place like this, where it's just pure hustle and pure drive and not a care in the world about, all the cosmetic bullshit that goes on in Hollywood and in LA. And so these type of things really like get me fired up. I would rather do this podcast any day over some big mega studio looking, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't get anything from that.
Yeah. This is the grind. This is the hustle from the ground up.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm going to leave here feeling like, shit, I got to get working.
That means so
these
much.
guys are going to pass
That
me.
means so much. And I told you this right before we started, but I want people to understand how important this podcast is. When I launched this when I was in the beginning stages of launching the podcast, the first episode came out August 31st, 2016.
Yep.
And there have been, aside from the people that I directly work with and my family and the people that have supported me since the beginning, there have been 3 people that have been super key to getting me to this point for this podcast.
Yep.
Lewis Howes, the School of Greatness podcast, he completely inspired me to want to start a podcast. I saw what he was doing. I thought maybe I could put my own spin to it and do something very similar, but my own world.
Yep.
You got Gary Vee. The most
legend.
energetic, positive guy, was my mental coach that first year when nobody was really listening, but you just had to keep powering through. His content, his vlogs, everything about that he puts out made me just want to keep going.
Yep.
And the third person was you. You were the bigger brother, the almost personal trainer to me of show up, deliver. I saw you putting out consistent content.
Yep.
And any week that I saw you not miss a week, or you miss a week, I was like, I got to get out there. I got to keep putting out more. But from afar, it's crazy to me of how much you've been a mentor, because if there's anything, before we even get into this podcast, I want people to take away is that dreams come true with the proper effort.
Yep.
Put your head down, put in the work. Took me 80 plus episodes to get to this point, but I would rather have you on now than at episode 5, because that was the beginning stages. There was nothing for me to really offer.
Yep.
And I'm super, super happy to have you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. That's an insane list to be a part of, first of all. And so I appreciate it. And like, I don't know. I think that for me, like I'm really transitioning as a human being. Like when I got out here, it was like fight.
You were about 20, or you were right out of high school.
I moved here when I was actually right at the end of 18,
Okay.
a month before I turned 19.
Yeah, that's young.
Yeah, real young. And so it was like fight, like make a way for yourself, make a life for yourself. Then it turned into like, okay, you're doing well, you're succeeding, but it was all about me. Like it was like, show how good you're doing, promote yourself, blah, 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 blah. Like very self-centered, not in a negative way, but that's just the phase in my life. And now I'm really at a point where like I find the most joy in giving back what I have learned, because I was all of these kids, and I learned so much shit. I mean, my brain is so filled with weird lessons and principles, and you know what I'm saying? And yes, I apply them on a daily basis, but I just think like my true passion is supporting the next kid from Akron, Ohio, or from Massachusetts or whatever.
Yeah.
And knowing that I help them find a better life than what they were told that they were capable of.
Yeah.
That's so, when you say like, you see me as like a mentor, I helped you start a podcast, that's like the best compliment I can get.
Yeah.
Because I've heard I love your TV show. I've heard I bought 10 of your shirts. And don't get me wrong, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
But to really say like, yo, you helped me actually start this thing, like there's something happened, is like the best compliment I can get.
Yeah, it's the fulfillment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the money that selling T-shirts, or even to a point when you were on TV with, Robin Big and Fantasy Factor, that's more entertainment. There is a fulfillment, I'm sure, of being part of all the events and the things you're doing. But now you're getting to a point where the content you're putting out is really, changing people's lives.
Yeah.
It's inspiring people.
Yeah, that's the goal. Because it's cool. And I think that when you're 18, 19, all the way up through, 25, 26, and we'll get into it, I'm sure, but like we got really fortunate that we ended up doing this weird thing that became a TV show that became a massive hit, and that's cool, and we're very fortunate, and I was able to launch a brand off of it and all this different stuff. But when somebody runs up on you in the mall and says like, yo man, did you really poop in the pool? It's like that's like jokes, like and it's just not the same feeling as someone saying like, yo, you really inspired me to do some stuff that I wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
That's like
night and day.
But I couldn't have done that at 21, right? If at 21 I would have been like, listen, this is how you start a podcast. They'd be like, shut up. You know what I mean? Like, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
So I had to kind of go through the process, and now that's really where I'm at and like what I'm focusing on,
How would you describe who Drama is today?
Drama today is still,
And how young is he?
He's 31 years young. He's a guy who was born and raised in an environment where you're told that any level of real success or fulfillment is not for you. And you just kind of follow the path, and you just do what everyone else did, and you just get by.
Yeah.
That's the environment I was raised in. That's the mindset I was raised with. That's the tools I was given.
Yeah.
And I'm a guy that took a chance and moved to LA and stayed humble and learned and took the hits and took the blows, knowing that one day it would pay off.
Yeah.
And applied it, and it did pay off. And now he's a guy that wants to show other people how to do that. I mean, I always say that literally, like, I'm not kidding. When I was growing up, living in this house would have been like my dream. Like that's as far as my vision took me. Because just living in LA and being able to pay rent in a house was like dream come true. There was nothing above that to me. I wanted to like manage a skate shop or like be a skate filmer or something. And I have been able to live a life. I mean, we just got back from Coachella in a beautiful house that we rented with a VIP wristbands and Sprinter band. And now it's like, man, this wasn't even in my like hopes. You know what I mean? And so my goal is like to show, to me, that's like the ultimate breakthrough. And that's the ultimate like key to a better life. And if I can help other people kind of find that or spark that, that's who I want to be.
Now, Akron, Ohio, that's about 200,000 people.
Roughly. I'm really bad at that part.
Yeah,
but it's small, and then I'm from like
that's what Wikipedia told me, so I don't know if that's
good. Okay, so that's probably true. And then I'm from like outside of that, like a place called Coventry.
Okay.
Coventry Township, and it's sort of this like, Akron's not a big city by any means, but then you go off into like weird Ohio suburb land, and it's pretty small. It's not like complete fields and hillbillies and whatever, but like it is like outside of my high school there was a farm with cows, and we would just watch the cows all day.
You go cow tipping?
I never did, and it's one of my regrets. But one of the biggest like highlights, literally, that I remember biggest news days of my childhood was that a cow got loose from the farm.
Big deal.
Big
They shut
deal.
down the city or
Big
the town.
deal. And I remember my mom being like, "Oh, I heard it's going down Van Buren Street," and I heard blah blah blah. And we're like, "Oh no, did they catch the cow?" And like it was a big day, you know. So like that's just to paint you a little bit of a picture.
You had there was an older brother, Scott, right?
Older brother Scott.
4 years older than you.
Yep.
What values did your parents teach you guys that you've carried with you?
The main thing that my parents taught me that I'm so incredibly thankful for is like they are so about like family and love and treating people well, like almost to a fault, right? Like where sometimes I think it actually hinders me, you know what I mean? But they will do anything for anyone. Like we always make fun of my mom because there'll be like someone from their church who, you know, something happened to their house or whatever, and they'll let them stay at our house for 2 weeks. I'm like, Mom, you can't just let random people. Like I understand it's a church thing and like love and God and stuff, but like you can't just let strangers. You don't know who these people are, but they don't care. They'll bend over backwards for anyone. They did that for us our entire childhood. They made it. They just gave us an incredible life. They're still together to this day.
Amazing.
I've never seen like a real fight between them. It's that like love and home and family.
Yeah.
You know,
That's super important.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's how you end up, when you learn something like that, that's how you treat people, right?
Yeah.
When you have that love and you have that backing of growing up with a family that's close-knit, and it ends up being how you treat other people to a certain extent.
100%. And I always say, like, I've been here for a long time now, and I've been in the sort of entertainment industry. I've been in all these different industries. I've been really in like the belly of the beast of LA and Hollywood. And I would say that LA, Hollywood is probably the worst city in the world for like, you know, the demons that exist.
Whoa.
It's a sign.
What just happened?
It's a fucking sign.
Uh-oh. That's never happened once before.
Guys, this podcast is so
This is
fucking
we're-
powerful. It reaches
Just put out the lights.
the circuit.
What just happened? I don't know.
It's going to turn back. Are we still recording?
Yeah, we're still recording.
Okay, guys, I just want you to know if we don't make it out of here,
Hold on.
we love you all. The power just turned off.
What the how did it...
Oh.
Is he going to come back?
It's coming back.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if Drama was dropping gems and LA just decided to shut it down, but we lost lights,
Can't stop us.
electricity. So we are going off the daylight that is outside. The only good thing is because of what we live in LA, we're going to get some subpar.
Beautiful. We are so lucky.
Yeah, we're
though.
good.
I mean, we got a beautiful day outside.
Got a beautiful.
Sometimes you just got to count your blessings.
This is just acting on the fly, all right? So
Yep.
no more neon sign, no more nothing. We're going back to the basics of just the raw sunlight, and we're just going to keep putzing along from here.
F it. We still got coasters.
We still got coasters.
And an
Oh,
empty
no
glass.
water, but. I got some water for you.
we go.
So we're fueled up. You were last talking about Hollywood. It's kind of like a...
Yeah. So what I was saying is like I've seen a lot of stuff, and I've met a lot of people, a lot of aspiring so-and-sos and a lot of whatever. And I always say that like it was actually my family, like how solid my upbringing was. And obviously also my work that kept me out of trouble. And I've just, I'm not saying that all people with like broken homes or whatever have trouble, but I will say that a lot of the, a lot of the weaknesses that pull people into the dark side of this town start rooted from family and from stuff like that. And so I thank my parents almost every day for keeping me so solid and building such a strong foundation that allowed me to navigate this crazy world and now be in charge of people. I have a staff of 42 people and they come to me with their issues and whatever. And so the only way that I'm ever able to do any of that was because of that solid foundation,
How would you describe drama in high school?
Drama in high school was obsessed.
You were a varsity athlete?
Varsity, if you can't tell by my pectoral muscles, I was obsessed with skateboarding.
Okay.
It was the only thing I wanted to do. My parents tried to be very adamant about like you have to do at least one extra curricular activity.
Okay.
I didn't do it.
You
my
weren't
brother
about it.
did like golf, baseball, blah, 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 like overachiever. And I'm like, man, I hate you. And so I didn't do any of it. And I really was like getting through school. I got B's, C's. I would walk through school with my hood up and headphones in so you couldn't see my headphones.
You're one of those guys. You didn't want the teachers to know you had music.
Exactly.
Playing.
I thought I knew all the tricks about how to fall asleep in class. I never went to school events, dances, none of that stuff. Didn't hang out with anyone from school. I literally would just show up, do the bare minimum that I had to do to like make my parents happy. The moment I could sneak out or the bell rang, I went over to my friend's house who I skated with every day, and we just planned where we were going to go skate that day. But that was it. Yeah, no, I was very antisocial, very whatever. But at the same time, wasn't hated. Didn't treat people bad.
Yeah.
Just was sort of like the
You
quiet
just did
guy.
your thing. You weren't bothering anybody. You weren't there talking trash.
Yeah, and that's what's so funny, I think, is when I went on to like then go be on TV like 3 years later, I think a lot of people were like, what the hell? Like that guy?
How did he go from Ohio to now he's on MTV?
Yeah. And they're like the guy with the hood on, like he's the one like riding
chosen
bulls
one?
and like swimming with sharks. Like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
But and then of course everyone was like my best friend. We used to hang out.
Everybody
I
wants
really
it.
didn't. Like
Yeah.
I promise you, I didn't hang out with anyone. But that was my vibe.
There was a skateboard accident when you were younger.
Yeah.
You were in a coma for 4 days.
Yep.
How did this change your outlook on life? Because I would imagine this, if you're not, this isn't you just falling, getting up and scratching yourself or hitting, breaking an arm. This is a coma.
Yeah. I think the main thing, and not that I'm some crazy like thrill seeker now, and I don't want to act like that, but like it's pretty much the worst injury that you can have without dying. And I think it was just kind of like, shit. I mean, I can kind of handle anything. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Like, it sucked.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. Like, I woke up and I didn't know how to read, or like food had no
That's
taste.
crazy to me.
It was the weirdest thing. It was the weirdest
You
thing.
didn't know how to read.
Didn't know how to read. I like just looked at words and they didn't make any sense. I remember I was obsessed with like trying to edit videos, skate videos, and I went home onto my Mac and I didn't know how to use it. Like I could open it, but I didn't know how to use it. I couldn't sleep on my left side or else I'd throw up because I hit my left side. And then when I got home from the hospital, my parents were like, you can have whatever you want. What food do you want? And I was like, I just want pizza. I just want like Pizza Hut or whatever. And I ordered it and it literally had no taste. Like I could not distinguish between pizza and whatever else. But that stuff all slowly came back. I mean, it was scary because I had a blood clot in my brain from the skull fracture. And so I kept having to go get CAT scans every month. And that's why I couldn't come to LA. I wanted to come to LA in July, but I had to wait till November because I kept having to get CAT scans to see if this blood clot had went away. And they kept warning me that I was going to maybe potentially like have seizures and have all these issues. And so I was like just kind of always living on edge, but at the same time, it was like, all right, well, that's it. It sucked, but it's not that big of a deal.
It's not going to stop you from actually making that move to LA.
Yeah, no, not at all. And then
No.
even when it got into like where we're literally like there was a moment when I stood in the middle of a bowl ring and just let a loose bowl sort of attack me. Whatever happens, happens. And literally I just had to think in that moment, like, well, worst case scenario, you fall asleep for 4 days and you wake up and you have to relearn how to read. Like, whatever.
But done it once, I could do it again.
Yeah, but yeah, I think once you face something like that you're normally would be really, really scared of.
Yeah.
And you see like, you can get through it.
Yeah.
You
took the graduation money you had. You had money from a skate video you had made. You were taking money you had made money from the iPods.
Yeah, the
iPods. The
I'm
iPod
embarrassed
story.
about the iPod.
Nah, you know what? That's part of the grind, right?
Yeah.
And then you finally make this move out to LA. You move in with Rob Deerdeck.
Yep.
That's your cousin. You become his assistant.
Yep.
How was that first 12 months in LA for you?
Whew. I'll tell you what, man, that first like 3 years was a
Did it fly?
ride. No, it was, I wouldn't even say it flew. It was like moving to Mars, and like aliens were like, hey, you can live with us. And you're like, all right, I guess I'll do it with the aliens. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm going to learn how to be an alien.
Let's do it.
But it was literally like I moved here. So I moved here. Long story short, no pun intended, what I did was my brother, when he was 18 years old, was incredibly good at skateboarding, way better than me, whatever. So my cousin, who we didn't know very well, right? Like he lived in LA essentially our whole lives since I was 3. So we didn't really know him. And he's from Dayton, which is 4 hours away from us. But we knew he was a pro skateboarder. We knew that was like super cool.
Yeah.
That was about it. When we were younger, when my brother was 18, he saw a video of my brother skating and was like, damn, like you're actually a real skateboarder. He's like, I'm about to start filming the DC video, which was the first time him and Big Black were together. He's like, I'm about to start filming the DC video. Why don't you come out here with me and stay for the summer? I have these filming trips. We're going to go to Barcelona. We're going to blah, blah, blah. So he did that, and I was devastated. Like, I was like, oh my God, like this is he just won the lottery, and I have to sit here and
still
watch,
here.
you know? And I was like, by the time I'm 18, Rob's going to be married, like it's over. And so sure enough, when I turned 18, thank God Rob wasn't married, I hit him up and I'm like, yo man, like my brother's not ready to move yet, because my brother was going to move with me. So I was devastated again. My brother's not ready to move yet. You let him stay with you for a couple months when he was 18. Is there any way I could stay with you for a couple months?
Let me get on the couch. Let me take something.
Yeah, and he was like, sure, man.
Yeah.
Like, sure. And I was like, yes. So I came, stayed with him for a couple months. Was just looking at apartments, applying for jobs at the skate shop.
Yeah.
It was literally the day before I went home. His assistant called and quit. And he was like, hey, do you want to do it? And I'm like, oh, shit, I don't know. Like, I don't even know what an assistant is. Like, they don't have personal assistants in Ohio.
Yeah.
And
Not a thing.
So yeah, and so once all my friends were like, all his friends were like, don't do it. It's going to ruin your relationship with him because he's real serious
Mixing
when he
business
works.
and family, I'm sure that.
Yeah, they're like,
obviously
don't do
isn't
it. Just be
always
his
good.
friend. And I'm like, well, look, I have nothing to lose. Like, if I hate it, I'll just quit and go work at the skate shop, you know? But I just could see like the amount that I'm going to learn here is way more than what I'm going to learn at the skate shop. And so I said, yeah, I'll try it. So then what happened was that was right at Christmas. I ended up staying for a month with him. Moved in November. That led me up to Christmas. I had to go home for Christmas. I packed up all my stuff. I moved out and I got an apartment in Studio City. And that was when like the whole journey began. And then I guess once again, just to kind of jam it in, I mean, to picture it, now I've moved out here with all these people that are 10 plus years older than me.
Is that the age gap? 10 years, you and Rob?
Me and Rob are 13 years.
Wow. Okay, so you're moving in, and he's already in his early 30s at this point, right?
Oh yeah. I mean,
so he's already figured out kind of his path of what he's supposed to be doing.
He's so like I mean, when I moved out, just some real information. When I moved out here, I had hooked up with one girl one single time. Right, that was it. I had never had a mixed drink. I had never had obviously a girlfriend. I had never none of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I moved out here, and I remember the first night out here. He said, yo, I'm going to go on a date. Just chill. And I'm like, all right. Okay. And like a date was weird, right? I'm like, a date? Like a grown person
You're
date?
going with a
People go
woman?
dating?
What?
And then I literally was just sitting in his living room, like almost in tears, and called my mom and was like, I just don't think I could do this. Like, I'm just too far out of my element. You know what I mean? Like, this just isn't, I could have made it in like an apartment and like with my brother and slowly whatever. But I'm like, this is just too crazy. So anyway, so him and his friends became my friends, and they were all 10 plus years older than me. We're going skating. I'm running errands for him. I'm going to like Red Bull to, pick up gear for him, bringing it back, whatever. That's kind of the life. Then the idea and I know I'm covering a lot in a small area, but the idea for like a potential reality show came about. And so now there's like cameras, like they literally just left cameras in the house and said, if anything crazy happens, just film it. So now we're just filming, like messing around.
You guys just messing around, having a good time.
Yeah, and I remember one of my friends, this is another story I always tell, is I remember one of my friends sneaking up on another one of my friends doing something really embarrassing and filming him with one of the MTV cameras through the window. And the friend saw that he was doing it, ran out, and they got in a fist fight in the kitchen. And I remember being like, I can't do this, man. Like, this shit
This
is
is not.
too
This doesn't happen in
crazy.
Ohio.
Like,
this does
like,
not
this is
happen
how
in
you
Ohio.
guys live. You just fight each other, and like, what the hell is going on? But so then that turned into shooting a pilot for MTV. Then that turned into blah blah blah. Then blah 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 blah. Then that show getting picked up. It was Rob and Big. Rob and Big takes off. Like, this is in the first like 2 or 3 years.
Man, that's quick.
Yeah, and so it was just a crash course in like what an assistant is, then being an assistant, then how a TV show gets made, then the TV show becoming a sensation.
Yeah.
And yeah,
from that journey of, because I saw that complete journey, right? I remember watching Robin Big when it first came out to even Fantasy Factory, and you in the beginning of Robin Big were just this quiet guy, kind of like you said, hadn't had a drink, maybe hadn't hooked up with all these girls or whatever, and then you look fast forward and you go to Fantasy Factory and you've become this person that is in front of the camera. You're talking. You're having clients come in. You've completely transitioned. So you got Robin Big that goes on for 3 seasons. You got Fantasy Factory that I believe did 7.
Yep.
How much and what did change? What was the change about drama within that decade? Because that was literally pretty much a decade.
Yeah, and I'll say like I literally morphed into an entirely different human being in that decade.
Yeah.
And there's so much and so many ways to kind of go through it and tell it. But what I'll say is this. Even though my dreams were set at the highest limit of working at a skate shop and living in this house, that didn't, like, I was just hungry as all hell. Like, I was just hungry. And the way that my brain works, sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, is I'm hungry and I think that I'm capable of almost anything. So if I move to LA and I see normal people just like me doing these different things, starting clothing lines, making TV shows, doing this stuff, I want to do that. You know, like there's no reason why I can't, you know, be that. And then I go now, even now today, I'll go meet with like private equity people and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, I could do that one day. Like there's no reason I couldn't buy 10 brands and build them. Like there's no reason. And it's always been that way. And I think that I just was starving to be something, to achieve, to, you know, even when I first moved here, I would always tell people, like, I don't want to be Rob's assistant or little cousin or whatever. I want to be his neighbor. Like, that's my goal one day, is I just want to be his homie and his neighbor. And like me and him are just boys. But I just knew, at the same time, I was aware that I knew nothing. Like, I wasn't an egotistical little, like, shit.
You understood you were at the bottom.
I understood I was at the rock bottom.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to be here.
Yeah.
And so I just soaked in everything that I possibly could. Like when I would, you know, Rob started a clothing line, which is very much the reason why I started one, called Rogue Status. And it was the shirts with all the guns all over it and stuff.
Oh, I remember that was huge.
Yeah. And so I would have to go pick up clothes from him at their store, like in Venice. Yeah. But I would go down to Venice, and I became friends from going down there all the time with Johan, the owner of it. And I would just kind of talk and pick his brain and see what they were doing and how they were building a culture around a clothing line in Venice, and what, you know, like who was designing and who, okay, I see how this is going. Yeah. And then Big Black started a clothing line, which is once again very much the reason why I started mine. And I saw what he was doing, and he took it to PacSun, and he took a way more sort of mainstream approach and like, let's just sell this thing out and get some money. And I saw that too. And I just soaked and soaked and soaked in all the information I could. And then when it was time for me,
you felt like you were ready for it.
I was ready for it, and it was like, okay, now it's time. Like there was no question about it. I never interfered with like Rob's stuff. A lot of our friends that like were sort of around at the beginning of the show and you don't hear from at all, they just tried to maybe do too much, or tried to get in where they didn't get in, or tried to take their opportunity too quick,
early,
or you know, whatever. And I just, man, I knew when it's time to shut up and whatever, and then I know when it's time to press the gas pedal. And when that time came, I just hit it, you know.
That's what I kind of enjoy the most right now of just being where I'm at, is that I don't really have people reaching out and trying to get things from me. But I look at somebody like yourself, and you start having this success, and everybody starts coming out of the woodwork. So, Drama, how you been, man? We haven't talked in years. And that scares me, because then now it's, who do I trust? Who's actually genuine? Who should I be giving my time of day, or who should I be grabbing coffee with? Because 8 months ago, when I didn't have this clothing brand, you weren't asking for me, and now you want to be my friend. Like, why is this happening? What would you say is one of the best skills or lessons you learned from Rob?
Oh man, I mean, I think
he's a real business guy on the back end. I mean, just absolute genius.
He is, but you want to know what too is, like, I think, to be honest, the thing about him that is absolutely like magical, uncopyable, is his personality and like his positivity and his ability to sort of dream. And like, in the sense of, he can, you know, he created every episode. Like, I don't want to take anything, like, I mean, the editors and the writers helped a lot, and they helped kind of piece things together, and logistics and spark ideas and stuff like that. But man, when it came time to like really come up with these crazy ideas for the TV show, he came up with almost all of them. And he's able to just walk in, light up a room, make everyone so happy and motivated, constantly be positive, and then just come up with these crazy concepts and see them through. And I think that just like energy, you know, I've been talking to him about it now, especially now that I'm reading a lot more and doing all these podcasts, like, why do you do this? You know what I mean? Like, why, honestly? And I've been trying to figure out the magic, but it's tough. But that's the thing that he is just like one in a million of doing.
That energy is such a, when you
and
can
it
fill a room,
you know, that's why, like, he was just him. Like, before, when we were filming Robin Big, he was just being him and conceptualizing episodes. And who would have known that this thing would turn into a massive hit? But when you watch it, it's like, oh, I get it. Like, it's infectious. That like spirit through the TV screen, you know, and like who comes up with an idea to buy a mini horse and put it in your backyard and ride it like you're a cowboy? Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
But it's that it came through the TV screen and connected with so many human beings. And now even that I'm making so much content, you realize how hard that is to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard
Always
to make a
gotta be on.
podcast and have people feel like, man, I really connect with you. And people connect with him like no other, you know? It's a gift.
Yeah. When you were kind of going through the phase of putting together Young and Reckless, what was your vision for this company? What did you want people to feel when they wore your clothes?
Yep. So to me, it was this. It was a combination of a business opportunity, meaning like, okay, I need to create something that will give me a real life outside of reality TV, because I don't like reality TV. I don't like being on camera. I don't want to be like famous, like any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So what is that going to be? And I started trying to make beats. I started trying to do all this different stuff.
You had the spaceship and fantasy.
I was drama beats.
in the fact
yeah. And what I realized is that these things just aren't connecting. Like when you're trying to sell beats, you're not selling beats to the same people that know you from TV. So you can't leverage all this work you're doing for this work you're doing. So whatever, that was just a nightmare. But I eventually landed on clothing. I'm like, this will obviously work so well with our audience. I can market it directly to our audience. There at the time was a perfect chain of distribution that audience shopped at, being PacSun, Zoomies, Tilly's. It was perfect.
Perfect timing.
And so I said, okay, great. Clothing is the thing for sure. I know that that's the right product. I know where I can sell it. The question is, what is it? Like, it has to be more than just bedtime clothing. And I hope everyone loves fucking neon clothing, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how am I going to
It's got to have
market
something
that?
to it, yeah.
Yeah, and so for my thing, I just think I kind of dug deep, which is what I'm still trying to do. It's what I do on my podcast, is I tried to say, like, well, what do I stand for? What does this mean? And to me, it was that same feeling of young and just going for it and saying, screw what all your teachers tell you and your parents tell you and blah, blah, blah. Make the move to LA, make the move to Alaska, do whatever the hell you want, jump out of the plane, do the thing.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? And what could that be? And I just landed on Young and Reckless after like scribbling. I found my notepad the other day, scribbling all these names on paper over and over and over. I like the way that you could put Y and R together, like Louis Vuitton or DC or whatever.
It just looks perfect.
Yeah. And so that's what I landed on. And I wanted to create a brand that when people put it on, like they really felt a little empowered, a little bit more like they're willing to go start that podcast or start a business, or like I said, go skydiving, jump off their roof into the pool, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
I just
go
wanted
for
it
it.
to mean something.
Yeah. What's been the hardest lesson that you've learned through the business?
I would say, you know, there's been a lot of them. And what a lot of people haven't seen on my journey is a lot of the like hard days and the failures and the whatever,
like wrong decisions or building the wrong relationships.
A lot of bad relationships. I've had to pay lots of money out of bad contracts. I've lost a lot of money in investments. I've started companies that failed. You know, you only kind of see the wins, and that's good. That's a good lesson, right? Like, take all the failures. People aren't going to pay attention to the wins. But I think that if I had to really say what the number one lesson is, it's that it does not matter how much you've done in the past. If you don't keep that work up and keep that momentum going and keep waking up every morning looking for the right move and the right pivot and the right adjustment, you will lose it all and nobody cares. Like the world is not a fan of Robin Big or Fantasy Factory, and they're not here to write me a check because I did so good so many years ago. They don't care. And so there's no credit being built anywhere. There's none of that. Like if you get lazy, if you think you're too cool, if you think you've made it, if you whatever it is, you're going to lose, and you're going to lose traction, and you're going to go backwards. And it is so much harder to push that snowball back up the hill than it is to keep it rolling down. Yeah. Right?
Because once you make the wrong move, it's going to take you twice, 3 times as long to get it back, to get people's respect back, or to get people to actually, Drama's actually serious about this. He's not just bullshitting me.
100%. That's why a lot of people like ask the question of how do you stay humble, and it's like literally humbleness is a necessity. It's not an option. It's not like a luxury. It's like if you don't wake up every day feeling like you've done nothing and how do I do something today, you will get absolutely crushed, especially in this era that we live in of podcasting and do-it-yourself media and vlogging and all these things where some kid, you can take my spot. You can take my spot in a year.
Yeah.
That could really happen. And that's just a fact. That's not something to sit back and say, well, I've been out here for 10 years. And like, nobody cares. You know what I mean? And I think that, man, you just got to wake up every day being thankful for how far you've came and how much you've learned and how much, many ups and downs you face. But nobody cares. Like, you got to get back to work.
You have to make things happen, right? That's what I always say is that keep your mouth shut and deliver.
Yeah.
People, your actions and your results are going to speak 10 times louder than you posting on your Instagram story about, oh, I'm about to lock in this brand deal. I'm about to get this. I'm about to.
Yep.
Well, just do it.
Yep.
Post about it when you made those things happen. But I'm a big believer of just let your actions speak louder than your words, because then people will respect you.
Yep.
You're not bragging about it. You just deliver. You're like, hey, I just did a podcast with Drama. Here it is.
Yep.
I'm not sitting here all week tweeting about it. Yo, guys, doing a podcast with Drama. I'm so cool. No, I'm humble. I'm still hungry that it's not. This isn't the got Drama on the pod. We're all set. This is okay. Let's fire it up even more now.
100%. It's like the opportunities that hopefully will come from me posting this, from whatever. You'll just be able to get someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that person. And sure, one day you'll say to me, bro, thanks for doing that. It really helped me. But I didn't. You're going to have 50 more people bigger than me since then. Right? And I'm going to be like, sure, bro. Like that was all you. That wasn't me. Right? I just became a part of your snowball.
Yeah.
But I think that's like, you got to know that. And even in today's day and age, right? It's not even about, you're right. You don't post and say about to do a podcast with Drama. You actually go as far as to show people the process that it took to even make this happen, right? And so you show the pain, you show the vulnerability. That's the hardest thing to do. That's even hard for me to do today. Is you don't brag about it, you don't whatever. You show that the lights went off. You show that you're doing this in your bedroom. You show that whatever, and that's what people connect to. People don't connect to some cocky like, oh look, I did this. No one cares.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's the real gem. If you can really connect with people on that, then you got some magic.
I think that's when people appreciate and they respect you.
Yeah.
And then you got the dogs in the background barking too.
Good.
This is
it's so good.
You know what? I've done 30 plus episodes in this studio bedroom, and never once did I have the lights go out or this happen. So
And this is why it's going to be
I
the
wouldn't
best.
want it any other way.
This
I
is
wouldn't.
good. This might be we might have a record here for a little bit.
This is great. Let's get into short story long.
Yep.
You've had some amazing guests. I actually ran into Nikki Diamonds at Complex Con. I was like, dude, heard you on Drama's podcast.
Yeah.
Amazing. You've had, Shep Gordon, Lewis Howes, like I talked about, Roy Kramer, Tim Ferriss, which was another big one to me. I really like Tim. He's, I think, like a guru. He's just another person in this world. Yeah. From those 90 plus podcasts that you've done, have you seen something common about these success stories?
Yeah.
Like what is these are all different people, entrepreneurs, videographers, all these different passions. What have you seen that's in common about these people?
Yeah, I think that it's the risk tolerance. You know what I mean? I think that sure, everyone wants the magic bullet, and everyone wants the cheat code, and everyone wants the workout that's going to get you super buff in 90 days, and everyone wants that, but it doesn't exist. The safety net doesn't exist. And you got to be willing to take the risk and go for it, and have the self-belief or whatever it is that you can push through anything, and be able to take a lot of losses and not let those losses define who you are to yourself, and keep going and going and going. I mean, one of my friends who was on it, Michael Mente, who created Revolve, which is a $1 billion online retailer.
It's a big number.
Big number. He started with an online store selling radar detectors that he was buying from some other company.
Yeah.
It's like he didn't, it's like your boy in the garage out here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't know, but you look at him now and you say, oh, well, he had the magic bullet.
Yeah.
He had it all figured out. He didn't. He just got his ass kicked here, got his ass kicked there, got his ass kicked there, and then finally landed on the $1 billion idea.
Yeah.
And that is every single person that has been on the show. And I started the show thinking I would just interview young entrepreneurs. And then I realized after doing some athletes and doing some DJs and some whatever, like, oh shit, anyone who has stepped out into this crazy world and tried to create something on their own with no blueprint, no plan, no fallback plan, has something in common. And that's what I want Short Story Long to be.
Yeah.
Not just some entrepreneur thing. It can be anyone. I mean, Kyrie Irving's story is oddly similar to Jeff Curl, the founder of Sans Socks. You know what I mean? But
They're
it's
all-
belief. It's like, man, it's all in your brain. And I don't want to get too Gary Vee-ish, but like,
No, please
is
give it to me.
it's all in like how you deal with losses and how you deal with risk. And you only lose the moment you have accepted you lost, right? Yeah. There are people that take way bigger losses than we do, than we're going to take today, right? We might have the worst day of our lives. I wouldn't say that. We might have the worst day of the month.
Yeah.
There are people out there taking way bigger losses than us that aren't even affected by it in the slightest because they're just conditioned for it.
Yeah.
That's just their life.
You got to eat shit, as he always says. You
Eat
got
the
to
shit,
eat it. Yeah.
man. And, but it's like realizing that the shit isn't even so bad. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who defines what the shit is? Because trust me when I say, the moment that you are a multimillionaire, successful, blah, 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 everyone's going to say, man, you have the magic button. You
Yeah.
did it. You blew up overnight.
Yeah.
That shit's so crazy.
Yeah.
All you do is win.
Yeah.
You know, and you're gonna be like, well,
Well, you don't even know what happened on the back end.
Yeah, and then you don't know when the lights were going out and the dog was barking.
That's what I love, man. I put out this. I started this weekly vlog series that once a week I literally just talk about what my past week was like, and I'll incorporate some of my Instagram story clips.
Yeah.
And I just show people the realness.
Yep.
Uber in these streets, the Friday and Saturday nights, because I want to have documentation that when this shit takes off,
Yep.
that it wasn't just handed to me.
Yep.
Go look back. I have vlogs, documented time, dates,
Yep.
time of day of week, that I was out hustling, and it wasn't just handed to me.
Yep.
But a lot of people, they think, and I get it, and I think maybe at one point I thought that too, until I started talking to all these people that, why, is it just luck? Is it,
But I believe that a revolution is happening,
Yeah.
so to speak, in that area, meaning our parents' whole childhood, my whole childhood, you had no access to this information.
Yeah.
So all that you could do was say, all right, well, I guess if I do good in high school, then I go to a good college, and then a good college probably just tells me what to do, and then it kind of spits me out probably into a really good life, I guess.
Yeah.
And if I'm not doing well in high school, then I must be a loser.
Yeah.
And you'd watch interviews with whatever, actors, basketball stars, whatever, and they'd be like, oh, it was a grind, but you don't relate. She's like, sure, it was, bro. That's what your PR people told you to say.
Yeah.
But we are literally in this crazy era, and I feel like that's why Gary Vee is so popular, where you're able to actually see people eating the shit, right? And like, you could never do that before, man. You just couldn't. And I think when YouTube and when all that stuff first started, it was everyone glorifying their lives, and so you just got more of what we're used to. It was just, oh, everything's perfect. See, I knew it. Everyone's showing us their real life. Everything's perfect.
Yeah.
But now it's transitioning to where the realness is being championed.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, these people are like me. And it's creating this connectivity. It's creating the reason why you send me a DM. 5 years ago, just being honest, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have went through my DMs. I wouldn't have responded to my DMs. I wouldn't have whatever. There was too much of a separation between like us and them, right?
I
It's
get it.
stupid.
I get it.
But now you're like, damn, we're all connected. Like, everyone's out here hustling. Everyone's out here trying to get it. And I want to make sure that I support this. We're going to get a really good video out of this. We're all going to benefit off of this thing.
Yeah.
Just as much as I would going on Joe Rogan's podcast. It's literally, it's all part of the story. The lights don't go out. This stuff doesn't happen at Tim Ferriss's podcast. You know what I'm saying? You only get the realness by doing these things.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. That's what I'm really excited about, and I just want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Like, I want people to say like, oh, I listen to Lewis Howes, Gary Vee, and drama.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be in there.
Yeah, I want to be in the mix of it.
There's something exciting happening.
I love it. Has there been, I don't want to say a favorite guest, but has there been a certain guest that you've had a big takeaway from that instantly comes to your mind? I know the favorite guest, I don't ever want somebody to have to point out somebody certain, but has there been a takeaway that you were like, damn, that's truthful?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I think that was my friend Kevion. I think it was episode 50 was his first one, and just being honest, and it got crazy listens. And Kevion's not famous; he's a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And it got so many listens, and I couldn't understand it really. But now I do, because of the way that I connect with it. And really the reason why is because he's an incredibly inspiring guy, incredibly positive guy. And he has spent his whole life really passionate and attending every sort of self-help, Tony Robbins, different coaching events, different things. And he still actively has a coach. And the way that he has built his real estate agency has been almost like a life coaching service to all of his people. And then they also go sell houses. You know what I'm saying? And so every Monday they do like these little round tables where everyone talks about their ideas for the week, and then the winner gets to do some sort of freestyle battle with that, and they're all champions. It's just like really
more to
different
it.
and cool. And there's a lot of people that work for him that have came up to me and said like he really changed my life. Like I was nothing, and he made me a real estate agent and made me an achiever and made me a millionaire. And his processes for like goal setting and even like affirmations and just all that stuff is so solid, and it really opened my eyes to that even being like a very real exercise and all that stuff being a real exercise. And he came to me after the pod and said, man, like that did so well and gave me so much attention and love and feedback that I want to do like my life coaching thing on you. And so normally I'd be like, it's a little weird. Like it's a little like hippie.
I don't know if I'm with
like,
it. Yeah.
And I wasn't really into like Tony Robbins and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what, man, screw it. Like, you're a cool dude. He grew up skating too. I'm like, you're a cool guy. I'll do whatever you want. I will just forfeit to your program.
Let's do it.
And what am I going to lose?
Yeah.
And man, I did. And I still to this day talk to him every Tuesday at 7:30 in the morning. And it changed my perspective on this stuff. And it's just knowing how to properly set goals and knowing how to properly kind of keep a list of these things just changed my whole thing. But I know it did that for a lot of the listeners too, and that was a huge one.
I think you got to aim big with goals.
Yeah.
Like so big that it feels literally impossible to reach.
So here's what I'd say. Yes, you do. But also if you cannot map out how to actually do it, then you are absolutely screwing yourself. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. So everyone's taught like dream big, dreams come true. And so what they do is you just build this like Mount Everest.
Yeah.
And you just...
There's no way to climb it, scale it.
No, there's not, man. And so you get so overwhelmed that you don't know what to do today.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
what do you do when you wake up on a Tuesday? And you're just overwhelmed. And that's when, like, life just beats you down and you get bitter and then you're done.
Yeah.
So to me, like, what I do is I do 5 years from now, really ambitious, really crazy, not sure how I'm going to get it, whatever. And then I do... for right now, what I listen to every morning is the end of 2018. What's that look like? Just what's a stepping stone to that look like?
Yeah.
Because you'll be shocked at the amount of doors that open up and the amount of people that reach out when you're making progress and you're creating things.
Yeah.
But if you become paralyzed because your goals are too big and you don't put out anything, you're screwed. You will spin your wheels for life.
Well, my whole thing is that I have this list of crazy things. Get on Ellen, have a Netflix series.
Yeah.
But I'm not... And I get that probably the majority of people will literally lose sleep if they're not even making the right steps there.
Yep.
To me, it's about that's just what gets me up and going.
Yep.
I'm not. If I don't hit those goals, I'm not gonna say my life wasn't fulfilled. You know, I didn't just because I didn't reach it doesn't mean I necessarily shouldn't be happy. But I guess it's aiming so big that it just gives you a reason to really get up and get after it, you know?
So I'd say the way to look at it is like you have to aim so you're 100% dead on. And I can guarantee you that if your goals are set on Ellen and you are actively pursuing one day being called to be on Ellen, it doesn't matter if you're on Ellen or not, you're going to get some pretty dope shit.
Yeah.
Like something really cool is going to happen. You're not really going to care about the Ellen thing.
Yeah.
And Ellen will just be a cherry on top.
Exactly.
But the thing is like, let's say, okay, your goal is to be on Ellen. Well, how are you, Bobbbaaaay, going to make it on Ellen? Probably from podcasting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then your goal is to have, I don't know, 5 million downloads a month on your podcast, right?
Yeah.
Because that's huge. That will probably get Ellen's attention.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So then your goal for this year is to have, 100,000 by the end of the year, right?
Okay.
Or whatever the number is, 20,000. It doesn't matter. Like, let's be realistic.
Yeah.
And then so your goal for now is to A, never miss a week, and B, constantly reach out to the biggest guests you possibly can, because that's what's going to grow your numbers.
Yeah.
So you should be waking up in the morning saying, I'm going to be on Ellen one day, and now I'm going to take 30 minutes to DM the biggest people that could potentially ever be on this podcast and the middle tier ones and ask them if they'll be on my podcast.
Yeah.
Because that's an actionable step one to one day be on Ellen. And before you know it, you take that 30 minutes every single day, you're going to get 1 million me's. You're going to get bigger than me's. And you're going to grow and grow and grow. And then one day your phone's going to ring and it's going to be Ellen, but only because you planned out what to do for 30 minutes every morning. And that's what got you out of bed.
Yeah.
So it's knowing that. Because if you wake up and look around this room and say, damn, how do I turn this room into a guest spot on Ellen? You're screwed.
Yeah.
You know?
You have to have actionable things that are going to get you to do that.
Yeah.
I really like that. Who's at the top of your interview list? Who do you really, really want?
Like in real life or in like make-believe land?
No, real life. Like, who do you want on the podcast that is you're aiming for right now?
I think like I think one of the best attainable ones would be like Kevin Hart or Richard Branson. You know, I think that Kevin Hart is I just know what a good podcast sounds like and who can give you that.
He will give it to you.
Kevin Hart is just incredible.
You'll be in autopilot mode.
I won't say a word. I'll say, so what's your name? And then bam, an hour and a half later. Best podcast ever.
We'll see you next time, folks.
Yes. But, and also his story is really good. And there's a lot to him that like we don't see, especially because he's a comedian. And I just think it would be a really, really good episode. And then Richard Branson, I just love his ability to, what he's been able to do is truly like look like he's having the best time of his life, and he's just being creative and just trying stuff and windsurfing and petting turtles and doing all this crazy stuff, but he's actually accomplished a lot. And you don't look at him like a douchebag. You know, you don't look at him like a Dan Bilzerian. You look at him like the dream entrepreneur. And I want to know why. You know what I mean? And I want to really dig into that and like figure out how he was able to connect the two, because I think it's really cool. And then the reason why I asked I would say not attainable or, you know, whatever, put it on the vision board, is probably like Barack Obama.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Because I'm fascinated.
You see his David Letterman? Yeah.
I did.
Yeah,
and I liked
amazing.
it. And I'm fascinated by his ability to, like, I'm real big now on like structuring my days and then obviously mindset. And I want to know, like, what does your day look like when you're running the country, you know, and how do you prepare for that? And how do you categorize your time and compartmentalize your issues?
Family.
You know,
I mean, how does that even you're on the clock 24/7 for
and
4,
then stay
8 years.
so lovable every moment. Like, he never had a slip up. He never had a scandal. He never had one single thing. And it's like, how do you choose whether or not to like raid Osama bin Laden's compound and then go have mac and cheese with your like 13-year-old daughter? Like, how do you do that?
How do you disconnect that too? You know what I mean? I feel like I would always be thinking about it, even when you're sitting down to have that mac and cheese. Like, well, we got to go nuke this. We got to do this.
Yeah. So I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah. What have you learned the most about yourself through this podcast? I mean, you sat down with a lot of people.
Yep.
What do you think you've learned about yourself?
I'll tell you two of the biggest like takeaways for me is that, number one, like I told you before we started, I'm actually a pretty antisocial guy.
Yeah.
And I've gotten good. It shows more in like early TV episodes, but I've gotten good at kind of doing what I need to do for work. But then usually when it's time to shut it off, like I shut it off.
Yeah.
Like, I don't just schedule a dinner with someone just to do it, which I absolutely should. And so, number one, I've learned to really just sit with someone, have a conversation, take it in, give it back, you know, like just be comfortable in that environment. The first 10 podcasts, I was so nervous and like so just because I just felt, not even because like, I just felt like cornered. Like, I just felt like, oh, I got to drive this whole thing. I got to blah, blah, blah. And it just felt like, oh, I just want to run away, you know? and I got through that. And I feel a lot stronger like in podcasts and in social situations now.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I underestimated, once again, when it comes to making this stuff like a practice, I underestimated how life-changing it is to simply go through your phone, like schedule an hour. This is what I tell people. Schedule an hour in your week where you have coffee, lunch, something with someone that you look up to, right? It could be the manager at a bank in your hometown. It could be a celebrity. It could be anyone. Schedule an hour where that hour has to be filled. No question. The same way we have to hit our podcast.
Yeah.
And then go through your phone and make sure it's filled every week. And every week, sit down with someone and have an hour conversation and watch what it does to your life. Watch how your friends change. Watch how the events you're invited to change. Watch how your ideas change. It changes everything for you.
Yeah.
And that's what the podcast has done for me. I've always been surrounded by hustlers and smart people and blah, blah, blah. But taking an hour to 3 a week and sitting down and having someone locked in a room and just talking. Now, Lewis Howes is my buddy. You know, all these people are my friends. And they're people that I go to events now, and that's who I'm with, not these other guys or not, you know. And man, it just, every time I finish a podcast, literally every time, and I'm driving home, there's something new and positive and creative going through my brain.
It feels like a high to me.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean?
I
feel like I could just conquer anything.
You can. You absolutely can. And it's just that exercise is so important. And that's not something I planned for by any means.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It kind of happens when you start it.
It does. And it's just like I said, man, not to be too, once again, like not to ramble too much here, but like you'll be amazed. I always relate it to exercise because we accept the fact, most of us accept the fact that exercise is something that's tedious. It's a slow process. It's something you do every day over and over and over. And eventually
You'll get what you want.
Things change
Yeah.
eventually. And you have to add it to your life. It has to become a habit. It has to become a piece of who you are. It's the same thing with accomplishing anything in this world. Like, don't think just because you have a creative spark and a little bit of talent that the rest just kind of pans out for you. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Make it an exercise.
Yeah.
Make it like routines. Force yourself in situations that you don't want to be in,
Yeah.
because it's those that will eventually strengthen you and turn you into that person that you actually want to be. You know what I mean? It's not just from hoping and wishing and the world conspires to, you know what I'm saying?
It's the actual action of doing.
It's a practice, and it's how can I make this a practice? Like if I was working out and having a new training regimen, what would I do? Well, I'd probably go for an hour every weekday, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you going to do for an hour every weekday to make sure that your podcast is the best, or make sure that you're the best videographer, or make sure that you're the best rapper, whatever it is?
Yeah.
But there has to be an hour of like, or way more, but an hour of like hard, frustrating, uncomfortable routines and work,
Yeah.
you know, to do that.
Yeah. Do you have like a vision of what you want to see happen with Short Story Long? I mean, you started out as an audio, then you add the visuals very quickly.
Yeah.
Is there another stepping stone that you really want to take this, or do you just want to keep with the conversations, just see where it goes?
I'm going to be honest. I would like to eventually do something like the David Letterman show.
Me too, man.
I think it's
That's
incredible.
so amazing.
And I think, you know, now, once again, that comes from decades of being David Letterman.
Yeah.
And he was able to, like, I think it was $12 million for 6 episodes, I think is what he got paid. And he was able to do it more so than that. He was able to say, I'm going to pick 6 of the biggest people in the world, sit on a stage without all the hoopla, and just have a conversation with them. And I think that that's really cool. And I think that if I could do something on that scale, but with a little bit more purpose, meaning like we're going to do these episodes that should really inspire these types of people, and then we're going to go do this thing with these types of people.
Yeah.
But I just think that's cool, man. I think to be able to sit down with Jay-Z and Barack Obama and whatever, you know, and
just have a conversation.
Yeah, and give.
That's all
like,
it
you're
is.
able to give that. You're able to give something from them to the world.
Yeah.
Like, that's just cool, man.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what I didn't realize until I started the podcast was it gave me an excuse to connect with the people that I really wanted to have conversations with.
Yeah.
It's hard to just get somebody to give you an hour of their time to grab coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, in reality, if you don't know the person, it's pretty hard to say, hey, dude, can you just grab coffee with me on a random day of the week? Because you're not so busy and you could just make that happen. And then I realized, well, I'm starting to build a platform where I can pretty much say, hey, let's talk about you for an hour. Are you interested? And all of a sudden it became the best way to pull out my phone. And now it's not even about, oh, I have these people in my phone, I can reach out to them because I need this. No. It's just about there's a relationship that's established.
Yep.
And who knows where this is going to go. But the fact that they're in my contact list to me is, why me? You know, how is that even happening?
Yeah.
And if that's already happening, then you just need to keep going because you don't know what else is going to happen from it.
Yeah. It's so true, man. And that's what's so amazing about today's day and age is you can, if you're back in Akron, Ohio, where I'm from, you can start today. People always say, well, how do I start? Here's another thing of like you're building a mountain against yourself, right?
Yeah.
You can start today by saying, I'm going to take an hour and just have coffee with someone that I look up to.
Yeah.
It could be your principal. It could be like stop. People put too many like regulations on it, and that's because you're scared to start. So anyone, sit down, have that coffee. Then the great thing is you can do whatever needs to be done. You can Craigslist, you can Uber, you can whatever to get yourself a mic and a recorder. And then you can start recording your coffee conversations. And it can be coffee with Chris, right?
Yeah.
And you do it, and all of a sudden everyone in your school is listening to it. Everyone in the neighboring town, blah, blah, blah. And then before you know it, you have the mayor of your city on it, and blah, blah, blah. And then that becomes a big thing. And blah, blah, blah. Then you make the move to LA or wherever you want to go, New York. Then blah, blah. And like you can do it. You can really do that. There is no one stopping you. You don't have to get some deal from some big network. You don't. You can start right now. And there's so many side effects, like you're saying, of having this contact list. Like I'm saying, of strengthening my relationships and building these new relationships that come from it. it's so much more than just, oh, well, I need a hit podcast and hopefully it makes me enough money. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just cool.
Yeah.
You know?
You just have to have a vision and really want it, you know? You have to, because if you're not willing to put in the groundwork, you don't deserve to make a living doing it.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to outwork every single other person and just do it. And if you're not getting the plays that you want, well, you just have to keep going, because that's how that's how anything in this world happens. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do, but if you continue to outwork and be willing to do the things that nobody wants to do, make the sacrifices and drive the Uber, whatever it might be, eventually something's going to click, and at some point the opportunity is going to come.
Yeah, and be smart. You know, I would say to everyone, like ask yourself what you want to do right now. And I'm telling you, I'm just telling you that if your immediate answer is like get rich, then just rethink it. Like you got to go back to the drawing board. Yeah, because that's not the answer.
Yeah.
Figure out what it is you want to do, what the road looks like to building that, and why anyone would want to do you the favor. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing for them? And if you can't answer those questions, you need to find the answers to those questions. What do you want to do other than get rich? How are you going to actually, like, what I'm saying is, I'm guessing that your ultimate purpose with this podcast is to inspire
100%.
the next generation, right?
Yeah.
By doing that, you're going to get rich. That's just what's going to happen. That's a byproduct. So your goal is to inspire millions of people. How are you going to do that? Well, a podcast. Yeah. Okay, how do you start on that right now, and how can you add value back to people? This is what you're going to do. You're going to research, you're going to do this all right, you're going to set it up in your thing, and you're just going to fucking go for it. And you're going to hear 1,000 no's, and you're going to let people ignore you, and you're going to have the power go off. Yeah. But who cares? Like, when you're inspiring millions of people and making millions of dollars, it's going to be amazing that all happened, you know? And so you just have to start now, at all the listeners, and reverse engineer and answer those questions. Because to think like, I'm just going to start a podcast, it's going to be so dope, everyone's going to want to be on it. Like, start over. Yeah. Rip out the book. Start another.
You got to start all over.
You got to answer those questions.
I think the best thing you could do is create something that people want to become a part of. Don't expect that they're just going to show up and be like, let me get on your podcast.
Because they don't give a shit. And let me tell you, the day you start really getting the views that you want to get and that you deserve, it's all going to change. Like it just gets easier and easier, and that's the great thing. Like I said, David Letterman, I'm sure, had to fight for Barack Obama. Yeah. But he got him because of all the years he's done in TV and all the favors he's done for him, and all the times he probably had him on his show when his new album was coming out and whatever. Or sorry, that was Jay-Z. Not Barack Obama's album.
he might have been outgoing.
But all the support, that he showed him when he was running. Jay-Z, all the times he had him on when he needed him on for his album. I'm sure that he did Jay-Z a million favors. I'm sure there's a reason why Jay-Z would go do that interview. And this is what you get. You get $12 million to do 6 episodes and sit on a stage and have a conversation and spread some great knowledge. He did it. But he didn't do it because he woke up one day and said, I got a dope idea. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's years of that.
Yeah, just his beard.
Yeah. Great.
I mean,
that's what I'm trying to, that's what I aspire to be. Like, one day, if I can get to that, that's it. You know what I mean? That's absolutely it. He might be the greatest bearded man. I might have to take that back.
True. Yeah, true.
Talking about group chat with D. Murthy. You guys talk everything about pop culture. What do you hope to provide the listeners? Because this is much different than Short Story Long. Short Story Long is the inspiration. It's great. You're getting to know people's stories. This is more of like Drama's platform to give his 2 cents in the world. Yeah. What do you hope that the listeners get from it?
It's cool too. And what I'll say is like that thing, it kind of caught on a little bit more than we had expected. And like we're getting a lot better feedback than we expected. And really how it started after Complex Con last year. Bobby Hundreds had written a Twitter post about how Complex Con was whack and capitalist and whatever. And we were talking about it. And we were talking about how many people went there and shopped and what it's doing for the culture. And we literally were like, man, we should just put this out. Because we have the power to get Bobby on it and then to get Aaron, who created it, Complex Con, on it. And just kind of have these discussions. Like, that would be really cool. And so literally that day we went upstairs to one of the open rooms in our office and just started recording us talking about Complex Con and what else was going on. And we had fun doing it. It's the conversations that we already have. We have a lot of inside information. We have a decent amount of like industry knowledge. I mean, Dee's a way smarter guy than I am, and he knows a lot about finance and everything that's going on. And so anyway,
it fits with you because you've been a face to the world for the last 10 years. So it's like, that's perfect. That's a good duo to have.
That's perfect. And I think that those are the conversations we have anyway. Like, we have them every day.
Exactly.
And so I think for us, the real goal was like, well, why don't we give people updates and let them know what's going on, but from an angle that is smart. It's not entertainment based, it's intelligence or information based.
Yeah.
Right? So we're not there to be like the funniest, Jesus and Miro, I love those guys, but we're not there to compete with them.
Yeah.
We want to give you knowledge, and we want to say, here's what's going on. Sure, we're going to be funny and make our jokes, but here's some real facts about why these things are happening, and hopefully you get a little bit of an education from it, and you say, I want to look into this. I want to look into why GoPro is potentially going to sell, or what's going on, and because we give you just enough information to kind of get interested in it.
Get a little taste of information. And
I think we live in fake news land. I think that we live in the era of sort of people just not knowing and reading headlines and taking the clickbait and just kind of having a really bad overview of what's actually going on.
Yeah.
And if we can give you a little bit more information and have a little bit of fun doing it, maybe we can inspire somebody else to keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
And once again, it's amazing, man. Like, we did a meetup last week or 2 weeks ago where we just said, yo, hit us up. First 10 people that DM us can come meet up, and we're just going to chat. And we got blown up instantly. We scheduled this meetup. Like 25 people came, and they were all smart. Like, it was lawyers and nurses and
that's cool.
entrepreneurs and all this stuff.
That's cool.
And we're like, damn, like, we're just building this cool group of people that are not dummies. Like, these people are smart.
They're doing
smarter
big
than
things
us
out
on
there.
something. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
this is cool. And that's a group that we want to build and be a part of and inspire and serve and, whatever. It'll all come back somehow. But it's just cool. Once again, just to compare to like MTV, if you say let's do a meetup when you're on a reality show on MTV, the people that come out are interesting. Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it. Interesting.
Yeah, like I did like autograph signings at Tilly's in like Minnesota, and you get a weird crowd.
You did some club appearance too, right?
Yeah. And so like I think the difference
drama.
Yes, like the difference of saying, hey, let's show up and meet up and talk about relevant things in business and what's going on.
There's good conversation.
It's good, man.
Yeah.
It's inspiring.
Yeah.
During
the I heard the podcast of you on No Jumper when it first came out, and then I rewatched it for this podcast, just kind of trying to get some ideas of what you've been talking about in other podcasts. But you talked about the early days of celebrity life in LA. You talked a little bit about it earlier in here. And I even scrolled back yesterday on your IG, went way back to like 2014, and you had a picture of a Rolls Royce and a BMW sitting in your driveway, and I forget the caption. You bought the Lambo for your birthday. You said, I turned 26. I treated myself.
Yeah.
And I would understand. And you know what? I'm sure there's been a long journey, but how do you stay grounded in LA?
Yeah.
Because for me, it's easy to a certain extent. Like I drive around, I see all these cars and stuff, and it's like cool to me.
Yeah.
But I'm not surrounded by these people every day.
Yeah.
You're surrounded by, I would imagine, all these people that drive crazy cars and have the house in Beverly Hills and all that.
Yeah.
But how does drama stay grounded?
I would say, kind of like I said earlier, it's not an option.
Yeah.
Like it is a necessity. And I actively every single day go run a company of 40-something people.
Yep.
I have business partners. I have these people I deal with. I have relationships that I've built. I have all these things that are so important to me, and that's what's gonna give me success tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you just can't be a douchebag, And even in like rich people land, douchebags are still douchebags. Like people with bad reputations are still people with bad reputations. The rules still apply. It's the same rules that apply at any level.
Yeah.
And if you want to go be a piece of shit, you're going to reap the negative feedback of that.
Yeah.
It's not an option for me. It's also not where I come from. It's not the people
family,
I couldn't look my parents in the face if I was just a doucher, right?
Yeah.
It's not the people I surround myself with. They will call me out instantly. It's literally not an option. And what I always say also is the same way you just said. I have friends. I've done pretty well. I have friends that have done way better. I have friends that have made money longer, more. I have friends that have made more money than me in the last year. I have all different types of people. Nicer cars, nicer houses, nicer everything. You can only be conceited for 5 minutes before you run into someone doing better. How are you going to feel like you're the best person on earth when you literally walk out your door and bam, nicer car, nicer house, richer, more successful, happier, better wife, this, that, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't, I don't know. It's just something that I've never connected to. I had a great, great time. And not to say that I won't still like
buy ridiculous shit.
Yeah, of course.
But
you gotta live your life.
Yeah, but I bought Ferraris and Rolls Royces and all this stuff, and it's great. It was like childhood dreams, like great. But it's never felt as good as like a successful podcast or a big day of new listeners or a breakthrough that so-and-so posted this or real life progress or even, I bought my family cars. That was an incredible
That's
feeling.
gotta feel so good,
and
man.
those aren't Lamborghinis and Rolls Royces, right? They're Kias. But it
Shout out
felt
to Kia.
much better. Shout out to Kia. But it's just not to be too like, and peace and love, but like it just does feel better. And you only know it. Take it from me. I've done it. Like I've bought the cars. I've driven it off the lot. I've had the fun. I've done all the stuff. This other stuff feels better. Progress and learning and growth and moving forward feels better. That stuff's like a fun thing to do on the side. And I think it's important. Like have your fun, but
don't let that be the main focus of that's what I need to have to be successful. That's what the only way I'm going to get true happiness.
Yeah, and I wish that I could I wish that maybe one day when I get better at this like camera stuff and whatever, I'll find a better way to say this, but like there's a reason why every single rich whatever person says money is not the thing. And that like if you're waking up this morning trying to figure out what your purpose is and getting rich is it's not it. Yeah. There's a reason why. And it just, from someone who came from like nothing, Akron, Ohio, to buying a Lamborghini on my 26th birthday, I'm telling you, it's not the thing. It's just fun. It's getting a new, iPhone case that you love.
Yeah, you love it for that first week, and then all of a sudden it just becomes, I want the next thing.
Yeah, and it's just, it's great, but it's not the thing.
What scares you the most?
In life?
Yeah.
I think not realizing my full potential. I think that like it has always been that. I think that when I was deciding but like scared about moving to LA, I just thought about like one day, sitting on my quote unquote deathbed and thinking like, you just didn't do that. You could have. You knew other people that did it. It wasn't really that hard. You just didn't do it. Yeah. And the same thing is true now. Every single day, it's like, are you not doing this because it's not smart and it's not going to work out and it's not financially the right move? Or are you not doing it because you're just scared? Yeah. And imagine one day looking back and saying, you just didn't do it. Yeah. Because you were scared. Yeah.
You got to do those things. You have to do them.
You got to, man. And like look stupid, like do all the dumb stuff, make mistakes, take losses. It doesn't matter. Like you're never going to, I just don't think you're ever going to be 85 years old one day and say, man, I really wish I wouldn't have called that guy that one time and asked him to be on my podcast because I looked like a dummy. Yeah. You're not. You're going to be like, damn, I wish I would have started that podcast, you idiot. Yeah. You old idiot.
I mean, great example. When I sent you that email, it was one of those mornings that I will spend an hour and just sit down and just send out emails and DMs of just Hail Marys of, this is somebody I want on the podcast. Maybe it'll happen. And honestly, I'd sent that. Literally, I remember I hit send them and I said, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. And there have been 2 times. I sent the email February 7th. And there have been 2 times since then where I asked myself, should I follow up? And just, send an email saying, hey, just wanted to follow up. And someone told me just let it sit. Let it milk. Maybe the time isn't right. Maybe, I'm a big believer. I even said it in, there was like 2 other podcasts where somebody asked me, who do you want on the podcast? And I said, you. Yep. And they said, well, maybe I can connect the dots. It was with Jeremiah Davis. He said, well, maybe I'll see what I can do. And I said, nah, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. Yeah. I'm not worried about it happening today or tomorrow. When the time is right, it'll happen. Yep. And it's only gonna get better as it sits and it marinates. Yep. Because by the time that comes, I've grown, he's grown. I'm not worried about the no's and the not at this moment because it's just setting it up for a bigger thing to happen. Yeah. One question I wanted to ask you, and you kind of you already nailed it, was the good old, what would you want to tell the young drama, 18 years young? Yeah. The short story long drama question.
It's so good too.
He's about to move to LA. Like what would you really want to tell him?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing is like you would be shocked at the amount that you are capable of. And you'd be shocked at the amount of growth and progress and learning and accomplishments, and like you would be shocked. But now that you know that, stay focused, come up with a plan, figure out what you want to do, learn how to do it. Start doing it. Like, do things with intention.
Yeah.
Plan things and do them, because when you do, you'll be shocked.
Yeah.
But you can either get that reward of being shocked one day and saying, man, I planned this stuff out and I did it and it really worked. Or you can always just sit in this weird stew of what could I do? What if I did this? No. What if I did that? No, I'm not
The
good
what
enough.
ifs.
No, I'm not whatever. Yeah. And it's just, like focus. Because I think, for instance, the reason why I say that is like, I've accomplished a lot and that's what I've learned from applying it. But I could have done more, like, had I known that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what I always try to tell people is, or ask them is, what would you tell that young person to kind of take the edge off, or like kill some time that you wasted?
Yeah.
And it was that. I think that a lot of our distractions and a lot of our even partying and things that get us off our game come from not thinking that we're good enough to do what we really want to do. And so you just get kind of this like self-deprecating, or like whatever, like, let's just get wasted. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
If you knew what you were capable of, you wouldn't
waste the
do
time.
a lot of the dumb
You
shit
wouldn't waste the time.
that you did.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, once again, have fun, get wasted, like, do it all.
Yeah.
But like man, you're capable of.
You got to see the
a
bigger
shit
picture
ton.
of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Because then you kind of will think twice about, do I need to go out for the third time this week? You know, I did that in college. I went out Monday or Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until I launched this and I realized, well, if I want this to actually happen, that's got to tone back.
Yeah.
There's going to be times and places where go have fun with your friends. You're supposed to in your 20s, but you're not in college anymore. You're not in that world of do whatever you want.
Yep.
This is real life. You got paint, you got college loans, you got car insurance. This is real life.
Yep.
And if things aren't being paid on time, or, you know, certain things in your life aren't going the way you want them to go, there's nobody else to blame but yourself.
Yep.
Take whatever you have, the resource you have, and actually make those things happen.
Yeah, it's true, man. And it's like, you can do it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're listening to this, and I'm guessing you're listening to this because you're like a motivated, inspired person,
Yeah.
you can do it.
Yeah.
But
I got you on my podcast.
yeah,
They're like, what?
yeah, and I'm telling
What?
you, bro, like in 6
What?
months, this is gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember. Hey, Chris, good to see you. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. But like, I'm saying that you can do it. Like, you're capable of so much shit, but you gotta do all those sacrifices.
Yeah.
There is no both. There is
Yeah.
no like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna like, I'll do this shit Friday, and then, but now I'm gonna like just turn up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So you can do it if it's what you really want. If it's not what you really want, that's fine, and that's also fine.
Yeah.
Like, party, be like a fun guy. I wish sometimes that I was more fun.
Yeah.
But if it's really what you want, and you want to taste what the progress and the fulfilling of these goals and all this stuff feels like, you have to start to put in place this discipline and living from intention and figuring out what you want to do.
It ain't gonna just show up at your door.
It sure as hell is not.
Is there any must in your day to day now? I know you're reading a lot, fitness and all that, but what are a couple of the musts in your day to day routine?
The must in my day-to-day routine is to write 5 things in my gratitude journal that I'm thankful for.
In the morning?
Yep.
Okay.
It's another thing that I thought was super cheesy and whack until I just read it enough times, and I'm like, oh, what do I have to lose? Let me just try this. And I was pretty shocked at the difference that it made.
Yeah.
So when I wake up in the morning, that's one of the things that I do first thing is I try to write 5 things that I'm thankful for. And I actually try to go as small as possible. Like, I'm thankful that I can literally wake up, press a button, and like coffee is made for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that I reach into my blah, blah, blah. And
You can
there's
actually reach your arm. You can,
water.
you can move your arm. Yeah.
And like, it's just, I don't know. It's crazy. And it really has, once again, I'm sorry for the listeners that are like, dude, shut up. But it has caused me to look at things differently and look at people with, you know, health issues or family issues or whatever, God forbid, we all have our issues, but and be like, man, I'm thankful in this moment that I don't have that. So that's a huge thing. And I also, another big thing that really helped is whenever someone sends me like good feedback on the podcast that really gets me or a good text or whatever, I screenshot it. I go home, I print it out, and I staple it to the day.
Oh,
so
that's
now when if I'm feeling like bummed out or whatever, I can look through my little gratitude journal.
That's so cool.
And I can see like, bro, your life is sick.
Yeah.
You know, like, what do you...
people are actually paying
like, look at
attention
all
to this.
shit. People like you. You got this nice text. Here's a photo of you from Coachella.
Oh, that's
like,
super
you know,
cool.
and then you have all the reasons. It's a pretty dope thing.
Yeah.
So think about that. I also meditate for 10 minutes.
Yep.
I read every day for, you know, I'd say at least 30 minutes. I try to get an hour.
Okay.
I took my affirmations and goals, I recorded them on my podcast setup, and then I put them on my iPhone in a playlist. And so every day when I get in my car, I don't allow myself to listen to music, podcasts, nothing before I listen to affirmations and goals. So I'll be driving down the street like, I am grateful, energetic, and strong.
It.
I know,
It is you.
Yeah, and I'm saying them out loud, and it's my voice, and like it's just like a way
You
to
got
like
the windows down.
yeah. And so I then I go straight into like whatever.
I love it.
Some good trap music. And I also say my goals, and you'll be surprised once again how much like you go on a long weekend, you do whatever, you come back, you listen to your goals again, and it like recenters.
You're ready to go.
Like, oh shit, that is my goal.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, not to be too rambly here, but
Please.
I come from like Ohio skater, all this shit is stupid background, right? Like too cool for school. Affirmations are cuckoo stuff.
Yeah.
I will tell you that because of the amount I've read on it and the amount of I've researched it, there's a reason why I've finally given in to doing it. And this plain and simple way to describe it is we don't realize how many opportunities, setbacks, distractions, good news, bad news, TV, whatever, comes into our day every day. If you wake up every morning and say what your goals are for the end of this year, it is impossible not to sort through all of that and stay on track. What happens a lot to people is they think, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. Sure, I'm super ambitious, but you're just getting hit with distractions. Is this a good opportunity or is it a bad opportunity? I don't know because I'm not even clear on what my goal is, right? Is this a thing? So now you go chase a bad opportunity, you ignore a good opportunity, you blah, 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 and then you wonder why nothing panned out. Where every day if you say, my goal is to have 1 million views on my YouTube content every month by the end of 2018. I wake up this morning, I listen to that, and I'm like, shit, bro, you are slacking.
Yeah.
Like, you need some vlogs, some
You're
shit
going to have to
ASAP.
start producing.
Yeah, because you are not going to hit that.
Yeah.
And so then that's what I do today. That's what, you know what I mean? So trust me, man, it's powerful, and people should try it. Sorry, other than that, I drink at least a liter of water. I call or text my mother. I do a little stretching session. And then I have these like liquid, it's like vitamin C, but it's in like liquid. It's supposedly the most amount that your body can retain, more so than like a supplement. And I take a shot of that every day.
It helps you from getting sick, keeps you healthy, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's my everyday have to do.
And a lot of that stuff that you went through is Tim Ferriss. That's what I love. He's all about processes and about gratitude. And I think from afar, people look in and see him and they go, this guy is out of his mind, but he's actually in control of his mind. He's in control of his thoughts. He'll go on these adventures where he's off the grid for 10 days, no phone, no talking. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, this guy really has it figured out because he's super successful. He wrote his recent book. I literally have one book over there. What was the last one he did?
Tools for Titans.
Tribe of Mentors. Yeah. I got it, and I think he wrote it in 6 months. Produced. I mean, it's absolutely incredible.
And I'll tell you, bro, what I learned from sitting down with Tim Ferriss, and I hope this doesn't come off negative because I swear to God it's not, is he's not a Superman. He's not some super guru. I think sometimes on his podcast he comes off like thinks he's like better than some people or smarter or whatever. He's not.
Yeah.
He's a guy that has the same distractions, demons, torments, anxiety, whatever that we all do, and he has dedicated his life to solving them. And he's gotten really good at it. And so he knows, like, I need to wake up in the morning, I need some vitamin D, I need to go outside and go for a walk for 30 minutes. If not, I'm going to be a depressed mess and sit inside all day. Like, he just has learned all those things. And that's what I was unsure how I felt about him until I interviewed him. Yeah. And now I'm like, damn, bro, like, you're just a guy who's really dedicated your life to finding the way out of all of these issues and then spreading that. Yeah.
He'll just throw himself out there and he just tries. And he'll be the guinea pig of new things and just let people know, like, his thought process on it.
He's dope.
Back, and I told you this before the podcast, but for listeners, back at Christmas time, I had seen on your Instagram story, you walked into a pack, son. Yeah. There's a bunch of people checking out Young and Reckless stuff. You bought everybody's merch. Yeah. Everybody's in the stores, which was absolutely incredible. These kids were smiling. They're pulling out their phone, Snapchat, and do all this stuff. And it was so cool to see because, like, man, this guy, he's using his platform and his brand for something so much bigger, so much bigger. Yeah. What do you think Drama's purpose is?
I think that it's to push ahead as much as I can, learn as much as I can, achieve as much as I can, and then show other people how to do it. Like when I picture myself as this guy from Ohio. The reason why I'm so passionate about this Ohio thing is because I know my childhood and how it went, how the people around me were, and where a lot of people ended up, friends and family. And like Ohio is one of the biggest places where this whole opioid crisis is happening, and that's just one of the many in this country.
In Western
right?
Mass, where I'm from.
Yes.
Huge.
And so you see it, and you see family members that ended up in jail or addicted to drugs, or friends that overdosed, or all these different things. And you're like, as you start to see life from my perspective, you're like, man, that is so just pointless. Like, I know why that happened. I watched that happen. I was a victim of the same circumstances. I just, through a couple good decisions and a couple strikes of luck, was able to make it out, right?
Yeah.
And realize that you can keep pushing forward. So I just like, for me, I picture myself like traipsing out of the woods in Akron, Ohio.
With the cape on.
And got this,
we
man.
made it out.
I'm going to clear the path, and I'm going to learn. And I'll take the bumps and bruises, and I'll look stupid, and I'll learn how to meditate, and I'll do all this stuff. Some of it might not be worth it, and you might never hear about it. But the things that are, I will tell you, and I will hopefully lead you with me out of the darkness, out of the, the painkillers, out of the this, out of the that, because I do believe it's that serious. Like, that's why I love the name of your podcast. I think that finding a purpose and growing towards it, those two things are the key to happiness in life. The key to a successful life, the key to a happy life, the key to everything, the key to everything everyone talks about. What's the key to happiness? Oh, I don't know, mama. It is that. It's finding a reason why you're on this earth and then moving towards it. It's not hitting it. It's not just figuring out what it is. It's finding it and moving towards it. And every single day that you are moving towards it is a day that you can't be bothered to go break into a house or to take a Vicodin or to whatever, because you got shit to do tomorrow.
You got shit to do. You don't have time to be sitting on the couch.
Yeah, you don't have shit to do.
Yeah.
You're popping a Vicodin and pounding a couple beers.
Yeah.
Why not? And then you're going to go break into some shit and whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I see as my thing. I've been very lucky and I've worked very, very hard. But I hope that when you see me in 5 years, you're like, damn, bro. Back when I interviewed you on my podcast, like, I remember you were talking about wanting to do this, but like I should be like, just, I don't know, just super fucking healthy and like just even more success and this and that. And maybe I just got my Netflix deal, and like, and it's just like, damn, like you really are continuing to push. Yeah. That's it. That's what I think I am.
Yeah. It's important, man. And I one thing I just want to connect is that I feel like I already won when I look back at people in my hometown. You know, there's huge drug issues within Western Massachusetts, but also just my friends that are happy. They're doing their day-to-day lives and all that. And, I remember when I first moved out here, I was getting texts and people were like, man, I can't believe you moved all the way out to the West Coast. And it felt so right for me to be here that I forgot that there are a lot of people that, one, they can't do this because they're locked in, they have financial issues or whatever. Or two, they'll never have the opportunity to do this. I moved out here with one of my best friends that I grew up with. Best case scenario, to at least have one person that I was living with that was so well grounded and so well rooted to where we were from that could keep me centered if I, had something. This is such a monster town, what I've realized, but how I already won. Yeah. I already won. Yeah. So now it's about doing the same thing, putting my stake in the ground and saying, I'm just going to be an example. And wherever the road takes me is wherever the road takes me, whether it's entertainment, podcasting, whatever. I just want to be an example that you could take this from zero and take it to the moon. There's just the only thing that separates that is pure hard work. And other than that, everything else falls into place. Luck, timing, very important. But I think really what's in your control is the hard work. Yeah. Before I ask the final questions, this is when I reverse the role. I allow my guests to ask me a question. Yeah. It could be about something we talked about today. Yeah. Anything you want to know. Yeah. I mean, what you got?
What I want to know is, what is your ultimate, I said like I would like to do like a David Letterman type thing, I think. Yeah. What's your ultimate platform? What's that look like when you're just at the peak of you? Yeah. What are you doing?
I think it's something very similar. Yep. A Netflix show. Like I said, going on Ellen. Honestly, to go on Ellen would be more for my mother. My mother loves Ellen, and I remember watching Ellen with her growing up as she was getting us. We were coming back from school, and Ellen would be on. You were on the list to get you on my podcast. I just want to become somebody so much bigger than who I am right now.
Yeah.
And it's not about the money. I know the money's gonna come. Like you said earlier, if you get $1 million plays, eventually that $1 million is gonna come. I'm not worried about the money. I'm just worried about, I don't even want to call it worried. I'm just working towards getting to an entertainer on Netflix and who puts out YouTube series, who is on the next HBO show because they love his energy, and I'm just a happy guy just trying to navigate, and and that's what motivates me the most, is that, like I said, I don't necessarily have all these things fine-tuned, which maybe I should. Maybe that's the takeaway for me on this podcast, to sit down and start putting time markers of the 5-year plan, the 1-year plan.
Yeah.
But I just know that I'm working towards getting to bigger platforms, not because I want the fame and I want the all that stuff that comes along with it, but I just want to impact massive amounts of people. Yeah. When I get these little comments or little DMs and stuff like that, lights going down because I'm dropping gems.
I like it,
Earthquake. That's the fulfilling thing, man. When you get somebody a couple weeks ago said, "Yo, man, hopping on a train. I'm in Australia, going to my next place. Can't wait to listen to this podcast." My podcast is being played in another country for somebody. Yeah. And that's affecting somebody positively. Yeah. How cool is that?
That's great.
So that to me is just keep building. The podcast has been the ground structure, but from here I want to just keep going. I want to do film. I want to try TV, maybe a late night show. Like I said, third time, the Netflix series. Yeah. Just go for it. Yeah. See what works, what doesn't. Never once. Similar to you, when I was a kid, when I was in 5th grade, I started telling my mom, I'm moving to LA. Yeah. Moving to LA. Kept hounding her. And I never knew when the time was going to happen. Thought it was going to be for college. I didn't get into my number one school. I said, Mom, packing the bags. I'm going to Santa Monica Community College. You guys, see you later. Yeah. That didn't happen. And then when I graduated, launched a podcast, spent another year in Boston, and then the timing was, this is the time to make the move to LA and then do it. Just be an example, I guess, is the best way to describe it, and connect with people like yourself and show that dreams come true. You just have to do it. And it has been the most mental 12 or almost 2 years of my life of just honestly disconnecting from a lot of people. And it wasn't out of disrespect. It wasn't because I didn't like them or love them. It's because I need to do these things. I have to grind. I have to make this stuff happen for myself. Otherwise, it's never going to happen. Yeah. It's never going to happen. And there's one thing that Gary always says, Gary V, like, my God, sacrifice these couple years. Be willing to sacrifice 2, 3, 4 years of your life to live the rest of your life happy as can be. Yeah. And that's what I said. I'll do it. I'll put my head down. I'll put in the work, and I'll see where the cards fall. Yeah. And here we are.
That's a great answer, brother. Okay, let me ask you this. Here's your next one.
Please.
What is your biggest doubt about yourself? Like, what's your biggest, like, oh, you can't do this because?
You know what? Sometimes I feel that, honestly, I'm not the smartest in the bunch. Yeah. I don't have the best vocabulary. I don't ask the greatest questions in the world sometimes. Yeah. My doubt is not being able to deliver. Am I going to be able to deliver? Even you coming in today, I'm running through all this mental checks of the podcast is good. I'm going through my normal stuff, but can I deliver? Sometimes there is that doubt of, am I going to be able to make this the best possible podcast, or am I going to be able to, when the next opportunity gets thrown at me, am I going to step up to the plate and hit that grand slam? Yeah. There's always that doubt of, am I going to be able to? Yeah. And honestly, I just believe that I can do it. Like I said, I don't have the best vocabulary. I'm not the smartest in the bunch. I did terrible on my SATs. So sometimes I think I doubt myself of what I'm capable of, because I don't think I'm the best, but also then I realize that it's not. I think it's not always about being the best. It's about the purpose of why you're doing things, and also what your intentions are and why you're doing those things. Yeah. And I think that's what people will gravitate towards. Yep. So sometimes it's self-confidence. Am I going to be able to deliver? Am I going to be able to step up to the plate when the time comes? Yeah. But I think I've gotten better at it, and it's moments like this, and it's been other guests along the way where I say, you know what? If they're seeing the value in doing this, then you just have to keep going. Am I on the right path? That's the other thing. Do I doubt myself if this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
And then little moments like this, it's like, yeah, you're supposed to be doing this. You just need to keep going, and you need to just be real and put out the vlogs and all that stuff on my Instagram story of the realness of trying to, not trying to inspire, but literally tell people how you're feeling that day.
Yeah.
You'll see me driving around just being a goofball, and then later that night I'm sitting there just talking about, hey guys, you just have to keep going. And there's all this mixed emotions because we're all human, you know? Don't be somebody that's just putting out all this positive content, which you should, but make sure people understand that you're like anybody else. You go through, it's a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
So sometimes the doubt is just, am I capable of actually doing these things?
I get that. I mean, my only two things on that is like, I would say that when it comes to doubting like the path, everyone does. Everyone on earth, I do it all the time. Everyone I know does it. That's what people relate to. That's the reason why like we're hitting this, like I said, this big revolution of people connecting and feeling like you're connecting to people. Because here's what's crazy is we used to look at like stars and celebrities and these big CEOs as being perfect, and we used to think that we needed to be perfect, and they have it all figured out. Why don't we? And the reason why people are gravitating so hard to the Gary V's of the world and influencers and vloggers and whatever is because they're finally showing you what is the truth. And the truth is no one really does. We all have that in common, you know, and we all question it. We're all just out here fucking going for it, you know? And then when it comes to the smartness thing, like, I don't know, you know, I think that probably, the fact that it's that big of a deal, not to like therapist you, but the fact that it like is that big of a deal might come from somewhere, whether it's like underachieving in school or maybe, I don't know how your parents were on it or whatever. But the thing that you need to realize is real world intelligence, like for the game you're trying to play, is not in SAT scores or perfect vocabulary. It's in reaching out blindly to people like me and other people to have them on the podcast, being resourceful, being hungry, not being scared to hear no. When I do come in, having everything set up, having this great set, having fucking cups with your name on it, doing perfect research for the show. This was a great show. You did a really good job.
Appreciate
that. That is the smarts that unfortunately our school system doesn't teach. So what happens with our school system is they teach you how to perfectly follow rules. And if you fail at that, you're a failure. When everyone who's created anything great has known exactly how not to follow the rules. So look at how that sets you up for failure, because it puts people who are learning how to not follow the rules into thinking that they're failures. And so now you have to go up against the world with a badge on your back that says, I'm a loser. I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. I didn't take my SATs or ACTs. I skipped that day because I was so ready to move to LA, right? It's just not something I live with, but I understand why you do. Like I could have very easily just been inflicted with the sickness that is thinking I'm not smart enough. And I'm just telling you that it's a label that you've like allowed to be put on you because of a system that is broken. And you're already showing, I mean, you're in LA from Massachusetts, you're doing a podcast, we're here now, this is all set up, this shit's great. You got it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of kids who got perfect SAT scores who are not anywhere close to this.
I think the best skill that I have, and I think that's super important, it's not always about, I guess to back it up, is that it's not about, you know, book smart and all that stuff. It's how are you with people? If you're good with people, which has always been a skill of mine, it runs in my family's blood. If you can connect with people and just on realness, it doesn't matter who you're sitting across, who you're meeting on day-to-day interaction. If you can just treat them and try to leave that conversation, whoever it might be, with just a smile of joy, the person that hands you the cup at Starbucks or that is cashing you out of the grocery store, like, hey, thank you, have a great day. And that's important. People just want to be around the people that make them feel good. If you can make people feel good, you'll get the things you want done. You just have to give it time. So I guess that is the more important side of it.
It is, man. It's just about like, what's your goal in life? What's your intention? What's your purpose? How do you make that happen? And relentlessly go for it, and being able to hit up everyone shamelessly and say, yo, man, we'd love to have you on the podcast. You don't care if one person out of every 100 says yes, because that one person is someone you wouldn't have had you only hit up 10 people. And being able to balance that with learning, but you're learning in the pursuit, you're learning with purpose, you're acting with purpose. Everything you're doing is with purpose. And the more you can fulfill that purpose shamelessly, no one gives a shit what your vocabulary is. You know what I'm saying? You're not trying to be a fucking doctor or a scientist. You know what I mean? So get that out of your head. No one gives a shit. You know what I mean? You're doing what you are meant to do, and that's how you're going to be judged in the end, not because you didn't know a couple words.
Yeah,
you know what I
I
mean?
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Closing questions.
Yep.
I want you to imagine there's a picture frame on the wall.
Yep.
And in that picture frame is you 10 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
What and who else do we see within that picture frame?
Oh, that's interesting. I think that just because it's my first instinct, I think I'm just like on a beautiful beach, you know, and not because I retired, but I just think like, maybe I'm learning how to surf. You know, I've always wanted to learn how to surf.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just learning how to surf. I'm just having some fun. I got a great tan, you know, like just a killer tan. I look super, super healthy.
Yeah.
And I probably have like, 10 years, I should have a new wife.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not in a rush, but it's new,
Yeah.
still passionate.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a little young buck. I'm not sure, a little kid.
Okay.
Once again, not in a rush, but it definitely like is something I want.
Yeah.
But I just see us like, hey, like, Bobbbaaaay,
Yeah.
what's up, dude?
I'm walking out of my beach house. You're walking out of yours.
Yeah, like
What's up, dude?
greetings.
Yeah.
Like, we're here. Aloha.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I don't know why that's what came to mind.
No, I love it. I love it. Where can people find you on social media, the podcast? Plug it all up.
The main place 100% is Instagram at Drama. That's where I'm at the most. That's where I'm responding, checking DMs, as we know. My email's on there, which is where you reach out to.
Yep.
So Drama on Instagram. The podcast would be second. I would say it's called Short Story Long. It's everywhere where podcasts are. Obviously, I recommend iTunes. If you're an Android user, we're on Stitcher, CastBox, literally everything under the sun. Clothing website is youngandreckless.com. Lots of new shit going on there. We've made a huge overhaul in product team. Like the product has gotten light years better. I finally wear my brand at almost all times now.
Yeah.
Prices are insane. We've just done a lot of work on that, a lot of work on building that e-commerce store and making it the focus of our business.
Yeah.
And that's it, man. I don't need to overplug. I mean, if you find those things, you'll get more than enough drama. You know what I mean?
Make sure if you guys actually go and follow, if you don't already, or if you do, just go drop a bunch of bearded man emojis so he knows that you're coming from the podcast. But before I ask the final question, I really cannot put into words, and I cannot say it enough, how much I appreciate you taking time out of your day to just come to Sun Valley, to come to some random dude's house and do a podcast. Because, like I said, man, this is a dream come true. You have been such a mentor to me, and this, I mean, I've had such a fire in my stomach to keep going, to keep this podcast going, but this is really a very special moment. And honestly, I couldn't have picked a better episode to have the lights go out, to have this happen.
We got a hit.
This is, if there's a podcast I want to happen, it would have been this, because this means more than I could put into words. And I thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah,
I really
thanks for having me, man. And I'm telling you this, and I really mean it. Thank you for the inspiration. Like, this is where we all come from, this exact moment. I'm very thankful the lights went out and that little doggy was barking because it is literally the real life version of exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But it's from, staying connected with people like you and working with people like you and never like forgetting that I remember where I come from, why I'm even here, and how I got here and how I'm going to keep getting here.
Yeah.
So thank you for the inspiration.
Absolutely. Last question for you.
Give it to me.
For somebody that's listening, doesn't know what their passion is, doesn't know what their purpose is mixed up, trying to figure that out, what's the best 2 to 3 pieces of advice you'd give them?
Try everything positive, right? So usually we all, leave our house for college or for whatever, or sometimes in high school. We try everything negative. Right? We try maybe a little bit of drugs, mess around with some girls, get wasted, whatever, which is fine. Do that too, because you're going to want to do it at some point. Right? So just get it out of the way. But also, when you're doing that, like we all talk about, like, oh, it's fine. He's experimenting, she's experimenting. Experiment with everything positive the same way. Go read books, listen to podcasts. There's so much information available to you right now that there never was before. Don't be closed-minded. Soak in everything. If you hate it, bail out. Start a podcast. You hear it's good, start it. If you hate it, bail out of it. But be open-minded to anything. Try everything. If you even get the slightest lead on your purpose and you think you might have it, go try it. Go intern. Go do whatever you can. Go ask the person if you can just interview them. Go make up. Go lie and say you have a podcast that gets 20,000 listens. And go interview someone with fake microphones that aren't turned on.
Yeah.
Do whatever you have to do to get the information and start to figure it out. Because that's the only way. To sit in your room and just say, oh, it hasn't came and found me yet, that's not going to work either.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't happen that way. It happens from being out in the world. It may not be anything like what you think it is right now.
Yeah.
But just go try it in and go soak it in and try it, and you will find it.
Yeah.
100%. It'll get you.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, literally, once you do find it, just, man, chase that thing with everything you got, because it's the key to happiness. It's literally, there's no other way around it. There is, and I honestly believe, I think Gary might say this, I hate to say it, but I believe that like family is incredibly important, rest, sleep, all that stuff. I think it's all really important. But to be honest, I think that a person can only give back to their family and their loved ones if they're happy with themselves.
Yeah.
And the way that you become happy with yourself is by having a reason why you're on this earth, and something that you're chasing, and something that you're proud of yourself for.
Yeah.
If you think you're a loser or a piece of shit or whatever, how do you think you're going to be to your wife, your kids, your mom, your whatever? You're not going to be good.
Yeah.
So I hate to say it, but like, I don't hate to say it. Focus on you and what you want to do and what your passion is, and work your ass off, and then be nice to the people around you and support the people that supported you. And man, if that's not a good life, I don't know what is.
Yeah. Drama. Thank you for so much for coming on the podcast, man.
Thank you, man.
Absolute pleasure.
We killed it.
We killed it.
We killed the electricity. I thought it'd come back on by now.
I would have thought so, but maybe not. We'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.
See ya.